Hello and welcome to Killer Shrew Fans Killer Toy Reviews. Back during San Diego Comic-Con in 2019, Mattel showed off silhouette teasers of things to come for their then up-and-coming Primal Attack line. There was a lot of buzz about what some of the mystery dinosaurs were, but among the most obvious of the coming offerings was a very large Sarcosuchus. Whereas I personally am not that into prehistoric crocodiles, I can understand where this excitement came from. They are largely underrepresented in toy form, plus with their loose canonic connection to the Jurassic franchise, I can see why the community was, by and large, anxiously awaiting this model. Hell, even I couldn't help but get a little hyped for it. Then, the official images were released. I never did a reaction video because I was too busy with other things, but the cliff notes of what I would have said is that I was disappointed. And not just with the Sarcosuchus, but the initial lineup in general. Yes, Mattel's promo pictures are often misleading in regards to the final product, but when all was said and done, I just couldn't get excited for most of it. Some of the sculpts looked too cartoony for me, and the paint jobs did little to heighten the final product in my eyes. Now here we are, it's 2020, and Mattel's Primal Attack lineup has begun to hit shelves. I've already acquired the 2 new attack packs, Control and Conquer Carnotaurus, Soundstrike, Cryolophosaurus, Tarbosaurus, and of course this Sarcosuchus. When I saw it in person, I had basically the same thoughts I expected myself to have. Rather than being won over by a product that was better in person, I simply stared at it and thought, yeah, it's big. And that's about it. Originally, I was going to skip it entirely, but after being on the receiving end of some pressure from the collecting communities, I decided I had to talk about it here on this channel and justify myself. I was also told I might like it more out of the box given the action features, and I guess that's kinda true to some extent. The box art itself is fun and eye-catching. It's not my favorite of the 3 lineups, but it gets the job done. It kinda reminds me of the old Jurassic Park video games, and I get why that aesthetic has a lot of people very excited. The classic sunset colors are there, as well as all the diagrams and catalogs, and the reminder to get the Jurassic World Facts app so you can scan a digital copy of your dinosaur into your phone and learn all sorts of cool facts about it. We still have to have Chris Pratt staring at us for some godforsaken reason as we buy a dinosaur toy, but at least they put Blue back where she belongs. I think the battle damage boxes get it right with just putting a dinosaur in the lower right corner of the box. After all, Mattel clearly doesn't care about the human figures anymore, so why are they pushing the human characters on their boxes? Just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. As far as the figure itself goes, I'm not unreasonable. I can look at it and I know what Mattel did right. The sculptural details are all very well done and they convey the crocodilian aesthetics quite well. I appreciate the individually sculpted teeth and how they maintain that sharp look to them. They weren't dulled down. They were, but it doesn't look like they were, and I think that's pretty darn cool. The proportions as a whole for this thing seem very well handled. I know sometimes Mattel can struggle with their proportions, but I'm glad to say on this one, looks pretty darn well done. Nothing about it feels too big, too small, or anything in between. It's stylized, obviously, but then again, all Jurassic Park offerings are, so there's that. The action gimmick is fun. People didn't really lie about that, and it feels very appropriate for the species. And I think engineering it all to be controlled by the tail was a very good idea. However, I will say the tail on mine, as well as the other ones that I have encountered previously, they all seem very loose and very floppy. And it has me wondering how well constructed the model is, and how well it would hold up to rough play. Assuming, of course, I play with these, but that's ridiculous. It also just doesn't feel very strong, and depending on what other figures you feed this Sarco, she may not even be able to hold on to them. The bite just doesn't have a lot of chomp to it. It feels very loose, very weak, and I don't know. I don't know how effective it's going to be in the long run, especially if it starts wearing out over time. But another positive that should be noted is the size. Mattel took full advantage of making a large extinct croc with this gal. She measures in at 14 inches from tip of snout to tip of tail, which is roughly 35.5 centimeters. However, one of the key issues I have with this model is the color. Whereas I do enjoy the transition from the dorsal colors to the lateral and ventral regions, the palette itself is just wholly unappealing. I definitely get a crocodilian vibe from it, but I think there were better shades that could have been chosen rather than vomit green and poop brown. I know that sounds juvenile, but it is the vibe that I get from this color scheme. What else can I say? It just doesn't appeal to me at all. But I think my overall aversion to this offering can be summarized in 2 words. Play compatibility. Whereas many of Mattel's offerings look like they walked off the screen of a Jurassic film, if I saw a design akin to this in Jurassic World 3, I would probably laugh. There's something about it that just feels cartoony and cheap. Now, before you go defending Mattel for not having a screen counterpart to reference, allow me to do so for you. I already grant Mattel certain leeway with species of this nature, the ones that don't have anything on the screen to kind of give them reference, the ones that have not shown up in the films to be looked at and inspire a toy. However, the company has proven on several occasions that they have the capacity to create such models that still look like they belong in the films of the Jurassic universe and can also be displayed alongside their screen-represented counterparts. This Sarco, though well sculpted in places, feels like a generic toy from any prehistoric life toy line, and not at all like a Jurassic toy. It reminds me of the Rampage Lizzie alligator toys, only somehow worse. Heck, even the new Tarbosaurus, which I thought looked like a glorified chap-made toy in the promo images, looks more akin to Jurassic dinosaurs in person than this thing. If I were to see this toy on the shelf without Jurassic packaging, I would think, okay, cool. But with the Jurassic brand slapped onto it, it's not as good as it needs to be to carry that mantle. In conclusion, it's fine. I can see why people like it as much as they do, but for me, it just doesn't work. And I wanted to make this video to kind of justify my visceral reaction to this figure, because a lot of people, when I said I didn't like it, they kind of jumped on me. And I just thought I needed to make this video and kind of talk through my feelings and kind of just explain why I felt the way that I did. Like I said, I was originally going to skip it, or at least wait till it was like discounted by 50% or more. But this video does have more of a point behind it. We're edging into dangerous territory with Mattel, it seems, where many see them as infallible. As an infallible company that can do no wrong, and God help you if you should find one product you don't like from them. However, if we only continue to consume what they give us, asking no questions, challenging them in no way, and just buy what they put out, and then wait to buy what comes next, Mattel will never grow. They will stagnate, get lazy, and fall off, and I think I speak for everyone when I say I do not want that to happen. They have proven their capabilities of handling this franchise time and time again, but they have to keep it up. This model, as well as several other of Mattel's new offerings, just shows that they are already scraping the bottom of the barrel when it comes to dinosaur models from the franchise that they can still produce, and many of those lack screen representation at that. It's not a system that can support itself indefinitely, and rather than continuing to go down this path of glutting us with generic dinosaur toys that have little to do with the franchise beyond the logo, I implore Mattel to explore other options. Jurassic is more than extinct animals. It's technology, it's vehicles, it's attractions, it's complex human characters. Sometimes. Whereas I recognize that dinosaurs are and always have been the breadwinners of the line, the potential is there to do so much more, and I truly hope that Mattel decides to. Thank you for tuning in. This has been Killer Shrew Fans Killer Toy Reviews, and I hope to see you again for the next one.